Fantastic. Good morning, everyone. I'm putting aside my arts and crafts project for just a little bit. Wanted to share with you this morning listing reports. Listing reports are so important, especially right now. There are some sellers that their houses are not selling in this crazy market that we have, and they want to know what's going on. And you have the ability to share this without having to sit at the table with them each time. So we have great reports. Kristen's going to talk about how they come into the system and how to, of course, get them out and over to the sellers without you even having to lift a finger after that initial setup. So you will enjoy this. This will be a quick session. If you are interested in seeing this training session again, go into Town Central. Under the training button, there is a link to the videos. You can feel free to hop in there and have a look at any of our training sessions that are recorded. With that said, I'm going to hand off to Kristen here. She's going to get live on the screen and she will walk us through the listing reports.
All right. Well, I have, for this training session, I've loaded up Susan Pender into my test account so that I had some listings to work with today, so that you guys can see how the listing reports work. So the listing reports all come out of Town Central, and they're really easy to find, but there are a couple steps to make sure that you're sending the best and most accurate information that you can to your clients. So let me show you where to find them first. I've actually deleted one of the clients out of here just so that we can practice with it today, but we'll go ahead and reinstate it when I'm done. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the listings button. Now, if you click on your listings button in Town Central, it's going to bring up all of your listings. So a list of all your listings, how complete they are, what's going on with them, just kind of a quick view, number of listing views. And by the way, if you hover over things, here's my little pro tip for today. If you hover over it, it'll tell you what you're looking at here. But things like the listing views is what we want to send to our clients, but we want to send it in a format that looks great and it looks really informative and it's nice and easy to read. So here's our active listings. If you scroll down, we have pending listings. And then, of course, you can go into your sold listings. Because they take a while to load, we just go ahead and have a button here. But if you need them for whatever reason, you can just go ahead and click it and it will go ahead and bring them up for you. So today I am going to borrow the listing for 4012 Harlow Street. Deleted out the temporary deleted out the actual email here so that we can work with it today, but I want to show you what this looks like. So I'm actually going to go ahead and click on the MLS number next to 4012 Harlow Street, and it's going to bring me into the listing manager for 4012 Harlow Street. Now remember, like everything on Town Central, all of the things that you can do are over here on the left, and how you do them is over here on the right. So right now we're on details, and it's going to show us the details of the listing. Just give you a quick look here. And if I click any of these buttons, it's going to take me into that section and again, load on the right hand side. Do remember that Town Central is completely mobile responsive. All of this works on your mobile phone. So if you need to log on to towncentral.com using a mobile or using a tablet, you can get to all of this when you're on the road. If you've just taken a listing and you want to set up the seller reports right away, it's all available on your phone as well as obviously desktop and laptop. So just remember all of that. So I'm going to go here to this button called Reports. And if I click on that, that right-hand side of that screen is going to change for me. There we go. And this is the online seller report. The information you're going to see where Susan's headshot starts is the actual email that's going to be sent to the clients. But we do need to do some setup first. And so I'm going to walk you through each one of these steps. So the first thing we need to do is add our contact. So who are we going to send this to? The first question I always get asked is, can we send this to more than one person? Absolutely. You can add more than one email address here, more than one contact. You can send it to husband and wife, family, investor group, whatever you want to send it to. You can add as many emails as you need to here. So I already have a contact in here, but the key is that you do have to have a contact in your contact list in order to add them. So if I click in this box, add contact, I already have a fake name in here called Barker, Bob Barker. And if it's going to bring up a suggestion. So if I had just put Bob in here, it's going to bring up all the Bobs in my client list. If I had just put B in here, it's going to bring up as many things that have B in here as possible. So by putting in Barker, it's going to obviously sort out to Bob Barker. And if I click him, Notice that the to section changed to pricesright@bigwheel.com, and that is the email address that it will be sent to. If your contact is not in your client manager yet, you just need to add it in order to add them to the seller report. And you can do that by going to clients and then contact list and just do a create contact. Add as much information in there as you need to, and it will go ahead and create that contact for you, and then it'll be available in your dropdown. So just remember that you have to have that client in there first. So I'm going to go back to the report. So I clicked on Harlow again, and I'm going to go back to the reports. Now, I did want you to notice this, and I did it for a reason. Notice that it didn't save. In order for this to save and send, you're going to have to hit that big save button here. So as you go through this, make sure that you're hitting the save button before you go off to another screen. So I'm just going to repeat that step again with add contact. So I'm going to put in Barker here. It's going to bring up Bob Barker again. Add his email address right here. And again, you can add whoever else you want. If you type in another name, click add, type in another name, click add. It'll send the seller report to those people as well. So it's asking you what kind of subject line do you want. It's going to put in a generic one, online seller report for 412 Harlow Street. You can change this. Online seller report obviously says what it is. You can change this to something like your seller report. It's always popular for 4012 Harlow Street, whatever you'd like to put in there. And then you do have a box that says, send me a copy of this online seller report. I always recommend that you check that box because you want to know what the system is saying to your client. You want to know what that email went out, especially if they call you and say, hey, that home went on market down the street. It's now under contract. They have more square footage than I do, but I definitely know their bedrooms and baths aren't nearly as updated, but it sold for, $10,000 less than my house did. And then you can have that conversation. You want to make sure you have that information when it comes out. So I always suggest you check that box that says, send me a copy of this online seller report. I'm going to uncheck this so that Susan doesn't receive a copy of our fake one today, but do check it when you go through. So over on the right-hand side, you have another box that says report schedule. How often do you want to send this report? So we have the availability for every week, every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 months, or no email updates. Now, you might be asking yourself, why would we have 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or every 3 months? Sometimes we get things like commercial or land listings, which are, take a long time to sell. You may want to only have something in there every 4 weeks if you're working with a very, very, very long-term listing. 99.9% of the time, we just check every week. Now, the other question that comes up is how come we don't have something that says every day? And that's because there may not be enough information, especially if the listing is new. You don't want to ever get into a position where you're sending something to someone with 0,000 results in it. Just doesn't look good for anybody. As the week goes through, there's always enough information to put into the report, and every week seems to be the right cadence for sending this. So you have another option here. You can stop the report when the listing is either pending or sold. So in this market right now, with so many things going under contract and then sticking and going right to closing, you can stop it when it's pending if you'd like. If you want to stop it when it's sold, you can go ahead and click that button to click it when it's sold. It's about 50-50 how people use it. Some people like to get all the information right to the closing table, so they keep it there till sold. And some sellers just don't want to receive anything once it's gone under contract. You have the option to send that email immediately. So as soon as we're done here and click save, it's going to go ahead and send that report to the seller immediately, and then it will pull in as we go forward. If you're setting this up right as soon as the listing is taken, which a lot of people do, you may not have enough information to send them something yet. So do take a look at that report before you hit that send email immediately. In this case, this one has been on the market for about a week and a half or so, and we can see that there's information here. So we would be able to send this immediately to the seller if we hadn't sent this yet, if this is the first time we're setting up this report. For those of you who might go back after this class today and set up your listing reports, you'll probably have enough data to go ahead and send. But again, if you're setting something up and it was just listed yesterday, there may not be enough numbers in here to send something. So just take a quick look before you hit save on the send email immediately. All right, before I hit save, I want to scroll down and show you a couple other options that you have. So we have the ability to put in a generic message here. Now this message will be the same every single time it goes out. So this is just generic. Below is a report of website activity for this listing. I mean, you might want to change that to an address so it doesn't look so sterile on there. Including a historical summary of monthly activity chart, listing update summary, and a detail of daily activity on the listing. You can put whatever you want to in here. Some people put a call to action that says, if you have any questions at all, you know I'm always available for you. Feel free to text or call me or whatever you want to do. So if you want to personalize this with a call to action or just personalize it a little bit more with what people can expect, go ahead and change that message. But do know that that's the same message that they'll get every time they get this report. All right, so let's take a look at this report that they're actually going to get. So this is showing us the historic listing traffic summary for this property. So last week it had 8,898 search result views. It had 193 listing detail views, which means it was opened 193 times on our various websites. And then it's going to show the last month, and then it's going to show all the way back to when it was listed. And it's also going to have this chart. Okay. So we can see this. So obviously when it was first listed on here, there were a lot of views. They dropped off. I'm not sure what happened here. You know, it might have been a price change, or it could be updated photos, whatever it was. But obviously, look what happened. The views went way up. Maybe it's just the market that there's not a lot of inventory, and all of a sudden the views are going way up again. We usually see this if there was ever a change in the listing. But this is something good that you can show your sellers. You always have a taper off. This is just the manner of real estate. This is since the dawn of time. This is what happens. There's a lot of flurry of activity. It tapers off. It tapers off. If it hasn't sold, if it's not priced right, if it needs renovations, whatever it is, and then those get done, whatever that action is, we do see an uptick, of course, in traffic. And that's good to show that. Thank you so much, Mr. Seller, for reducing your price. You can see that we attracted a lot more people this week. So this is something good to know. It's going to scroll down here and we're going to show nearby properties. So the default on this is to do radius. That works for a lot of things, but it doesn't work for everything. The other option we have is the save search. I'm going to get to that in just a second. So under the radius button, it's going to show the listings. So the listings are based on your listings property type, the number of bedrooms plus or minus 1, the number of bedrooms plus or minus 1, and the price plus or minus 50% within the radius selected. So in this case, this is a half-mile radius. I can increase this. So if I need to send it out to 2 miles, which is probably a bit too much, but that's all right. It's going to pull in everything with that criteria that I just showed you within that 2 miles. So it's going to pull in that attached listing. It's going to pull in everything. This has 3 bedrooms and 3 baths. So it's going to pull in everything that has 2 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms. It's going to pull in everything with 2, 3, or 4 bathrooms. It's going to pull in, this is priced at $869. So this is going to pull in everything from right around that 400,000 range all the way up to that 1.2, 1.3, because that's that 50% within the radius selected. The reason I like to point this out is because we've had issues before where a seller might call and say, hey, I know that the listing down the street was just put on the market and it's not on my report. Well, they might have a 4-bedroom and the house down the street might be on the water and it's a 7-bedroom and it doesn't fit that criteria of that plus or minus bedrooms, plus or minus bathrooms. So it's not going to show up on their list. If you need to create a criteria that's not a radius based, if it's something very, very, very specific, you can use the save search option instead. This is great for things that are in gated neighborhoods or in very specific neighborhoods where comps really just come out of that neighborhood. It's great for niche markets. Most people know, if you've taken my training classes, I live in a historic home. So if I were to put my home on the market and I wanted a seller report, the contemporary listing that was just built down the road from me in our neighborhood isn't really going to be a comp. So my agent should probably do a save search for about 10 to 15 miles for all the properties that are older than 1850 that have come on the market in, Isle of Wight County, Smithfield, where I live, and there's a lot of them, so that you can actually see how it comps against other historic homes and other homes with historic properties and other farms and things like that. So that's where that save search could come in handy. I have a fake save search in here just so that you can see what that would look like. If I click the save search, you can see that all of your save searches that you've created for your website or for your client show up in this dropdown. In this case, I have an example called the North End. I know this one doesn't apply here, but it made it nice and easy for me, so I went ahead and did a North End one. So now what that's going to do is, instead of just being a quarter mile or a half mile radius that meets that criteria, it's going to comp against all of the homes in the North End. So it's going to go way outside that half mile radius, but it's also going to be that nice little skinny North End area in Virginia Beach that it's going to comp against for all of this. So that's what will change with your active properties and your pending properties and your sold properties in here. As soon as we're done here, I'll go ahead and show you how you can do that quick save search and how you can make one and then save one for doing your seller report. That's probably my advanced tip for the day, and a lot of people don't switch it over to a save search, but it really does provide you with probably the most accurate information in certain communities, areas, and niche markets. If you ever need to explain what some of these numbers mean, all of the activity definitions and their types are located down below. This also goes out in every single email. So if a seller calls and says, well, what does it mean? What is a listing map preview? And then you can say the number of times the listing was selected on a map. So if somebody did a search and then they click through it from the map, that would be a listing map preview. The save favorites, the number of times your listing was saved to a consumer's favorite list. And then the listing emails, the number of times your listing was included in a property watch new listing or a new photo virtual tour email notice. And this is across the board. So if, we have about 400 agent websites in the company, plus our own corporate website, plus our own niche websites. Anytime that listing was included in a property watch listing email that went out, regardless of who the agent is, that's what would be included in that number. And then down below, it's also going to give you the definition of that radius search. So you can also talk to it and explain to it, especially if there's a listing missing that they were expecting. And then the number of baths. This is a unique report in that the baths represent the total number of rooms that are bathrooms, full and or partial. So some of these may be something like Harlow Street may actually be a 2.5 bath, but it's going to count as 3 in here for just the sake of having a number to work against. So it's going to count as 3. So it's going to add those half baths and baths together. So once you're sure that this is what you would like to do, so we've changed everything. We've either done a save search or done a radius. We have all the information. We've written out our little message here. We've added our contact. We know we're going to do every week. We want to send this immediately because we have enough information. We're going to go ahead and hit save. And I'm not going to hit save on this one just because it's a dummy one. And once you hit save, it's just going to tell you that it's been saved, and that's it. It's going to send this first email out that looks exactly like this to that seller, and then they will receive an email every week beyond that with that seller report in it. It's taken me a little bit to go through this today just to give you all the different steps and options, but you can see that as long as you have your client set up, your seller set up as a client, it would take you about 30 seconds to actually set this up. So just add their contact, choose whether it's pending or sold, choose whether you want to receive a copy, whether you want to send it immediately. If that radius search works for you, go ahead and use the radius search and hit save. Just takes a couple of seconds to actually set up and send a seller report, and they receive a lot of great information. Let me show you how to do that save search real quick. So the save searches are actually part of your website. So I'm going to go up to Site Builder, and I'm going to go to Search, and I'm going to go to Add. And this is going to bring up a map that looks just like the public search on your website. And this is where you'll be able to add a subdivision or criteria, whatever it might be. So I'm actually going to show one from up in Williamsburg. You know, they have the big 3 gated communities up there: Ford's Colony, Governor's Land, and Kingsmill. And most of the comps, when you do that kind of thing, are out of just those communities when you're looking at stuff. So I'm actually going to go up here, and I know that this is Governor's Land right here. It goes all the way from this part of the river, and it continues all the way over here. So these are all the homes in Governor's Land. I don't necessarily want to comp some of these homes that are outside of Governor's Land that might not be in the same neighborhood or might not be in an HOA. These things off 614 out here, actually in the country, they're kind of independent, so they're really not going to work against my Governor's Land home. So I have two choices here for doing a save search. I can either do an advanced search and save it based on the neighborhood name, or I could just draw a polygon around something I'd like. This might be great for something you do maybe in Ghent. Again, these gated communities, the North End is a great place to do this. The Greenbrier area is always great too. If you have to comp against a fairly large area like that, and you just want to draw around the things that you know are the areas you want to work in. In this case, I'm going to click that polygon button down here at the bottom, and I'm just going to draw around where I know Governor's Land is, goes out to Route 5, comes out to the river, just drawing a polygon. All I'm doing is clicking my mouse, making little dots, and that's all of Governor's Land. And it's going to show me all of the Governor's Land homes over here. And I'm going to hit save search. So I'm saving the search from my website. I'm going to hit continue, and I'm going to go ahead and put Governor's Land in here. We'll just make this regular Governor's Land. And I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. And that's it. That's as easy it is to make a save search for something. So again, you can, I'm going to go ahead and stay on the current page. If I didn't want to draw a polygon, you also have the ability to do it by price, by size. And if you go to more and advanced search, and I'll choose the Rain MLS here. You do have the ability to do it by all the different criteria. So in my case, if I needed something by the age of the property, they needed a historic home. If you needed to select waterfront or a particular acreage, or even the neighborhood, all of your neighborhoods are here, and you can actually create a save search based on all of that advanced criteria. So I'm going to go back to listings, and I'm going to go back to Harlow. We're going to pretend that Harlow is in Governor's Land, and we just want to comp against Governor's Land today. I'm going to go ahead and click that reports. Remember, I didn't save this so that we didn't start sending out reports on Harlow. So don't forget, you'll have your information already in here, but I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. And instead of doing a radius, I'm going to do a save search, and notice that there it is. So I had North End in there previously. Here's Governor's Land. And now notice that the active summary has changed, that it's going to be comping out of Governor's Land instead, and it will adjust that neighborhood based on that save search. So that's how you do the easy way of sending a seller report, and also some advanced features on the seller report. And I'll be happy to take any questions you have.
Kristen, can you go over the advanced, how you got to the advanced search again? Just that right there at the end?
Sure.
You mentioned it. Thank you.
Yep. So I'm going up to Site Builder, search, add. And it's going to bring up that giant map of listings that go all the way beyond Richmond now. I'm going to go ahead and click this More button. And then I'm going to go ahead and click Advanced Search. It's going to ask me which MLS I'd like to use to create this search. The majority of us obviously use Rain, so I'm going to go ahead and click Rain. And now this allows us to choose any advanced criteria that we need. So we'll be able to put in whatever we need to in here. So we can search by all sorts of things in here. So if we wanted to do something like a neighborhood, I'll make one for Allenton just because it's my favorite thing to use it as an example. I went to neighborhood, I clicked on the A's, there's Allenton. And I can go ahead and submit that search. And it's just going to bring up Allenton. I can go ahead and save that search for Allenton and use that in my save search criteria instead. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, Lewis, go ahead.
Kristen, I don't remember, but is there any way that you get recently solds in these reports?
You can. So the easiest thing to do is if you do a radius search, it will do the solds based on, sorry, it'll do the solds based on the radius. If you do a saved search, just make sure that you're also including the for sale, the under contract, and the sold in your saved search to make sure you pick it all up.
Because when I normally go into advanced, I'm only looking for actives when I set up my websites. Okay.
Yeah, the sold, it takes a bit to bring up the sold. So here's that. I haven't changed Allenton. It's still selected for Allenton in here. But you'll notice it went from 8 to 78 in here as well. So there you go.
Yeah, and what is the period of sale? Does it have like 180 days, 365, or?
Good question. It depends on our data feed that we get from Rain. It's supposed to be 365 days. Sometimes we notice it's a little longer. So we always guarantee 365.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen, Ralston, on that, I believe what it is it's once a month, so that's why it's over 365.
Yeah.
So it can be whatever the beginning month, etc., with the extra days from that perspective, from the pool. There's another question in the chat. What does the app look like for the phone? Do you have a way to display that?
How does it look on how does Town Central look on a phone?
Kayla, is that the question?
Yes, it is the question.
Okay. Ralston, can you do a screen share to your phone to Town Central, or do you want me to do it?
Give me a
I'm not
second.
sure I have it up. You usually you use your app really quickly, but hold on one second. I think I can do it from here.
Or just give me a second. I'll bring it up.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm. So it's not an app. It's just mobile responsive.
Okay.
Just
I have
remember
the
that. The
VHHS.
entire thing. Yeah, you don't have to have an app in order to use this. The entire thing is mobile responsive.
Okay, good. If you could just tell me how to get to that, that would be great.
If literally on your phone, if you just pull up any kind of browser on your phone and click towncentral.com, you should be able to log in and use the mobile version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's that easy.
Okay, I should have the screen now, and you are seeing the face of my phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab Chrome, and I can type in towncentral.com. Oops. Go away. All my notifications have decided to show up.
Sorry, Ralston, to put you on the spot.
That's okay. That's all right. There we go. Towncentral.com. And I'm already logged in.
Yep. So Ralston logs in as on an admin dashboard like I do. So, but here's what Town Central looks like on a mobile version. So all the normal blocks that you see, everything just starts to restack a little bit.
Mhm.
And then if you go up to the top under the menu up at the top, you'll see listings, and you can get right to this exact same place that you were. We call this the hamburger menu, the little 3 lines. And Ralston won't have any listings, but here's where you can see where those active listings would be right there. You'd be able to click in. You'd be able to use Town Central exactly like you do on a laptop or a desktop. It's just going to be in a slightly condensed version.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Every single tool you have on Town Central and your client manager, your listings, everything is available and completely mobile compatible. In fact, I have been on vacation and driving down the road, and I had to fix something on somebody's website, and I did it on my phone. So I know it works because I use it. So.
All right. Does anybody else have any other questions? Any other questions for Ralston and Kristen? All right. If there's no more questions, thank you for joining us for session 2.